You won't finish this. That's not an insult. That's a prediction. Based on what most people do. Based on what most people have trained themselves to do. You will get a few minutes in, and something will pull you away. A notification, a thought, a habit. And you'll tell yourself you'll come back. But you won't. Because you never do. I want you to notice something right now. Notice the urge. The small, quiet urge that's already there. The one whispering, check your phone, switch the tab, skip ahead, see what else is on. That urge is the thing I want to talk to you about today. Because that urge is running your life. Most people who clicked on this will not reach the end. Not because this is too long. Not because it's too difficult to understand. But because their attention has been so thoroughly damaged, so quietly, so gradually, that sitting with one thing for more than a few minutes feels almost physically uncomfortable. That discomfort is not weakness, it's a symptom. And today, I want to help you understand what it's a symptom of. Let's begin with something you already know, but haven't fully admitted to yourself yet. You are distracted. Constantly. Deeply. Not just by your phone, not just by social media, but by a habit of mind that has become automatic, a reflex. Something that fires before you've even made a conscious decision. You open one thing and immediately think about something else. You start a task and abandon it before it's done. You consume more in a single day than previous generations consumed in a month, and yet you feel less informed, less focused. Less capable of sustained thought, less like yourself. This didn't happen overnight. It was built. Slowly, one scroll at a time, one interrupted task at a time, one video you skipped halfway through, one book you put down after a chapter, one conversation you half listened to while glancing at a screen. These were not big failures. Each one felt like nothing, but they were deposits. Small deposits into a pattern that now defines how your mind behaves. The technology is not evil. The platforms are not villains. They are simply designed, precisely, expertly, relentlessly designed to capture your attention and hold it in short bursts. To reward you with novelty. To give you just enough stimulation that you never feel fully satisfied and never feel fully bored. That zone in between. That's where they keep you. And most people never leave it. Here is what that zone does to you over time. It shrinks your patience. It teaches your brain that if something doesn't reward you immediately, it isn't worth your time. It lowers your tolerance for difficulty, for complexity, for anything that requires you to sit with discomfort long enough to get to the good part. And here is what most people don't realize. Almost everything worthwhile in life is on the other side of that discomfort. Almost every skill, every relationship, every version of yourself you've ever wanted to become. It's all behind the moment where most people quit. And most people quit early, very early. Think about the last 10 things you started. How many did you finish? Not almost finish, not finish enough, finish. Completely, with full attention until the very end. For most people, the honest answer is uncomfortable. And if you're feeling that discomfort right now, good, stay with it. Don't skip ahead. Don't reach for your phone. Just stay. Because here is what I want you to understand. The problem is not that you lack intelligence. The problem is not that you lack talent, or potential, or the ability to do extraordinary things. The problem, the single most significant problem standing between you and the life you keep telling yourself you want, is that you cannot sustain your own attention long enough to build anything real. You can't focus long enough to learn a skill properly. You can't sit quietly enough to develop a clear thought. You can't resist the next distraction long enough to finish what you started. And without those three things, nothing else matters. Talent without focus is noise. Ambition without discipline is fantasy. And intelligence without attention is just potential. Unrealized, unused, slowly fading. Let me ask you something directly, and I want you to actually answer it. Not to me, to yourself. When was the last time you sat with something difficult and didn't quit? Not because it got easier, but because you decided to stay. When was the last time you felt the pull to leave, to switch, to distract, and you didn't? When was the last time you proved to yourself that you are in control of where your mind goes? If you have to think hard to remember, that's important information. Because discipline is not a personality trait. It's not something you either have or you don't. It is a practice, a muscle. And like any muscle, it responds to how you use it. If you train it, it grows. If you neglect it, it weakens. And right now, for most people, that muscle is very, very weak. Not because they are weak people, but because they have spent years training the opposite habit. The habit of escape. The habit of switching. The habit of never fully arriving somewhere before they're already thinking about leaving. And here is the part that matters most. Here is the thing that should stop you. Every time you abandon something before it's done, you are teaching yourself something. You are teaching yourself that you are the kind of person who quits, not in dramatic, obvious ways. In small, quiet ways. Every tab you close before you finished reading, every video you skip out of halfway through, every plan you make and don't follow through on, every morning routine you started and abandoned after 3 days. Each one of these moments sends a message to the part of you that keeps score. And that part is always listening. It notices, it remembers. And over time, it starts to believe it. This is how people become people who can't finish things. Not because they decided to, but because they practiced it every single day in ways that felt too small to matter. Now, let me tell you about the other kind of person. The other kind of person is not someone with superior willpower. They are not someone who never feels the urge to distract, to escape, to switch. They feel it too, every time. The difference is what they do with it. When the urge comes, they notice it. They don't fight it. They don't shame themselves for feeling it. They simply observe it and choose not to follow it. They stay. They finish the paragraph. They complete the task. They sit through the discomfort until it passes. And it always passes. The urge is never as strong as it first appears. It peaks, and then it fades. But most people never discover that, because they leave before it does. The person who stays is building something. With every small act of completion, with every moment of resisted distraction, they are training a different reflex. They are depositing into a different pattern. And over months, over years, that pattern becomes identity. They become someone who finishes things. Someone who can be trusted with their own intentions. Someone whose mind is under their control, not at the mercy of whatever pulls at it hardest in any given moment. That is not a mystical transformation. It is not the result of some dramatic turning point or breakthrough moment. It is the result of thousands of tiny decisions, most of them made in private, most of them invisible to anyone else, most of them as small as this, staying until the end of a video, when everything in you wanted to leave. Let me talk about attention for a moment, because I think most people fundamentally misunderstand what it is. Attention is not just a cognitive function. It is not just the thing your brain does when you're trying to concentrate. Attention is the currency of your life. Whatever you give your attention to grows. Whatever you consistently think about shapes what you believe is possible. Whatever you focus on day after day becomes the architecture of your mind. This means that a scattered life is not just inconvenient. It is not just inefficient. It is a slow erosion of the self. When your attention is fragmented, when it belongs to algorithms and notifications more than it belongs to you, you lose something essential. You lose the ability to direct your own experience. You lose the deep satisfaction that comes from being fully present in what you're doing. And you lose the one thing that separates someone who builds a meaningful life from someone who watches other people build one. Focus. Sustained, deliberate, chosen focus. Think about what you could build if you gave your full attention to one thing every single day. Not the split, fractured attention that's become normal. Not the attention that's half on what you're doing and half on what you might be missing. Full attention. The kind that goes deep. The kind that generates real understanding, real skill, real progress. Think about what you could become if you stopped feeding the distraction reflex and started feeding the focus reflex instead. The answer is not complicated, but it is difficult. And difficulty is exactly why most people stop. We have been conditioned to avoid difficulty, not in the old-fashioned sense of hard physical labor, in the subtler, more modern sense of cognitive discomfort. The slight friction that comes from staying with one thing, the low-level restlessness that rises when you're not being constantly stimulated. We interpret that friction as a problem, as a signal that something is wrong, that we should change what we're doing. But that friction is not a problem. It is the work. It is precisely what strengthening your focus feels like. Removing it doesn't make you more comfortable. It makes you waker. So here is where I want to leave you. You are not broken. Your ability to focus is not gone. It has been weakened by habit and environment and years of small choices that seemed meaningless at the time. But habits can be unlearned, environments can be changed, and choices, even small ones, have cumulative power. The version of you that is disciplined, focused, patient, mentally enduring. The version of you that finishes what it starts and means what it says and follows through on its own intentions. That version is not a fantasy. It is not reserved for other people. It is available to you. But it requires practice. It requires the willingness to be uncomfortable. It requires you to stop treating your attention like a thing that happens to you and start treating it like a thing you choose. And it starts here. It starts with finishing this. Not because finishing a video changes your life, but because every time you do what you said you would do, even something small, you become slightly more the person you want to be, and slightly less the person you've been settling for. If you're still here, if you made it to this moment, I want you to know something. You just did something that most people who clicked on this did not do. Most of them left. Most of them felt the urge, followed it, and moved on. You didn't. You stayed. And that matters. Not because I'm telling you it matters, but because some part of you already knows it does. This is where it starts. Not with a dramatic life overhaul. Not with a new routine you'll abandon in a week. Just with this. The quiet decision, made right now, to be the kind of person who finishes what they start. Prove that you were here. Prove that you stayed. Comment 3 words. Just 3 words. I finished it.